Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So I recently did a little clean out of my eyeshadows. If you notice, I have a new shelf in the back. Needed more storage and got me a new shelf. So when I was, changing out the shelf, I thought what better time to declutter than now, because I had to go through everything anyways. So when I did my declutter, I said many times that, oh my god, I want to play with this is the perfect time. So I pulled a bunch of eyeshadows that I want to play more with now during this fall. I have them here all in front of me and I counted 25. So perfect, the perfect amount. Now this is not like I want to use all of these palettes, no pan left behind or anything. It is just I want to, in any capacity, pull them out, play with them, because I haven't given them enough love, and many of them are very seasonal appropriate. So if you want to see all the eyeshadow palettes that I want to use a bit more now during the fall, keep on watching. Okay, so I have, in no particular order, I think I'm going to talk about these because I just have them in front of me. It's not like I have ranked them or anything. You might see a theme with many of these. Let's talk about my very new palette first. So I got this. This is the newest palette from MBA Cosmetics. It's the Fuji 5 Lakes. It's inspired by Japan. You see Mount Fuji here. And this packaging is, I think, the most beautiful packaging of all of my eyeshadow palettes. I think it might be. It is absolutely gorgeous, and you can see it there. I hope, let's see if it's washing out a bit, maybe. This is what the palette looks like. So I have already been playing around with this one. And so I think this color story makes total sense. Based on the country and the inspiration, you have the red leaves, but also like the land of the rising sun, and you have a lot of these yellow tones and the blue because of the mountain, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I really appreciate this color story, this palette. And of course I had to get it because I love Japan. I say this like in every video now, but I'm going to Japan in October. And I'm not going to the 5 Lakes, but I have been there. Or I have been at, I think it's like around the 5 Lakes. But there's an amusement park called Fuji Q Highland, and it's like an insane amusement park. They have like insane roller coasters. And I was there, I don't remember when it was, 2018 maybe. Super amazing. I highly recommend, if you're in Japan, to visit Fuji-Q Highland. If you like roller coasters, you should go. We might go there again because they are adding an Attack on Titan ride, and I maybe have to go there. Maybe I must go there. But yeah, this is the first palette that I'm obviously going to play with a lot more this season. I have one, I think, Odin's Eye palette here, and it's this one. So this is the Mighty Monsters palette in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner, and it looks like this. So this was not released during the fall, but I think that this has a lot of fall themes. This yellow and the red, for example, this like murky green. You have a beautiful green shimmer there. And yeah, I just think that it is actually quite fall appropriate. So I definitely want to play around with this more. I just used this last week, this green eyeshadow with this sparkly shade, which is in my Pandos eyeshadows. And it was such a lovely transition between the two colors. So I might go for that again. But I want to play around with this palette a lot more this season. I have another Nomad palette, I just remembered. So we have this one. This is the Nomad Haunted Europe palette. Love the packaging on this. I got this the year it released the first time. I know you can get it this season as well. But this is what this color story looks like. I think that Nomad has improved their eyeshadow formula since releasing this one, but I still enjoy the color story and I have not used this nearly enough times. So I should definitely pull this one out. I could use these greens. I have a very green shade in my Pandos eyeshadow, so I could use the greens with that one. And yeah, let me know if you got this when it first released or if you have gotten it this year. I would love to know if you have this palette. I have 4 palettes by Unearthly Cosmetics, or Alien Cosmetics, I think some of these might say. Yeah, 1. So let's talk about them. The first one I think might not be very fall, like typical fall, but it's like in the middle between summer and fall. So this is the Grind palette. And for me, like, you have this green shade. This orange yellow shade is also very fall appropriate for me, and like this dark red. So I think that this one will be the perfect transition when it's still like here it's already fall. It's like below 10 degrees during the evening, so I say it's fall here. But yeah, this is a stunning palette and I want to play with it more. I have the here it says Alien Cosmetics, but this is the Lore palette, so it's the old one. Love this color story. It is absolutely gorgeous. You have some very special shades in this one. Like this shade called Serpent is just sublime, in my humble opinion. And I love this packaging. I mean, I do love me a Medusa any day. Any day of the week I take a Medusa. I also have the Fairy Frolic palette here. So this is something that I haven't seen as much about when it released, but I think this is like, they are all quite similar because you have murky greens and murky yellow orange tones. This is a bit more muted, obviously, than this one, but they are pretty like, they would mix well, I think. So this is the Fairy Frolic, and then I have the appropriately named for fall Witching Hour palette, which is a lot brighter. So this is quite comparable maybe to the Grind. Let me look at them side by side. So you have this a bit brighter orange and green shades there, and you have like a bit of a pink purple shade. So these ones would pair very well. By Salem Cosmetics, I have a collab with Sminkberoende. This is the Forest Heart. This is also a stunning palette. And I have given myself the, like, I need to do this for myself. Because when I buy palettes, I am instantly drawn to specific shades. So this shade, for example, this is a typical shade that I am drawn to. Like the Grind palette. This is a shade I'm drawn to, or this. And I'm like, oh, that's such a beautiful shade. And then I end up not using that one nearly, like, I might touch it. But I am really going to allow myself to like just wear these shades that I am so drawn to as much as I can. I'm going to allow myself to only dip into the shades that I'm really, really like drawn to. Like this is sparks so much more joy for me than this is a shade that I probably have in many other palettes. So I'm really going to try to dip into the shades that I'm so much attracted to. Does that make sense? 2 palettes from Gorman Girls here. So we have the Nightshade and the Spooked. The Spooked is for some Halloween releases ago. It looks like this, absolutely beautiful. Again, you have some greens and oranges, which is what I love to wear during this time of the year. The nightshade is also absolutely sublime. Here is another of those shades I'm going to really wear this season. I'm going to use it because it is, when I look at this palette, that is the shade I look at and think, oh my god, such a lovely mustard yellow shade. I have to wear it. We have the collaboration between Bel Cosmetics and Badi Bean. It's freaking bats. This is such a great color story. I think she really did a great job with this one, and I've seen a lot of palettes be what it feels like the color story is inspired by this one. Here again we have a lovely like mustard swampy green and yellow shade, but I also love the inclusion of this of this purple. But yeah, this is a lovely palette and I should absolutely use it more. We have some palettes from Fantasy Cosmetica. Of course, I had to pick the Druid palette. Again, this green. These special shades are so lovely also on the lid, so it's going to be a pleasure dipping into this one. We have the Warlock palette, which is a bit brighter. But yet again, we have that type of shade here and also some stunning greens. And then we have the Bard palette, which is maybe even brighter, which looks like this. In the tone of these, I also pulled my Salem Cosmetics Van Gogh palette, the Starry Nights palette. It looks like this. And there are many similarities with the Fantasy Cosmetica actually. For example, there you have the Bard palette and maybe the Warlock palette. I think there are some similarities, but I am going to play around with all of them because I have them and I love them, so. A bit random here, we have the Cosmic Bubbles by MBA Cosmetics. I have not used this palette nearly as much as I should. I should absolutely dip into this neon green and use the shimmer shades, but yeah, I have not used this at all. It feels like once or twice. I think that MBA Cosmetics, they released like a bunch of palettes and now it's been quite silent. I don't know if they are still around. Anyone knows, please let me know. This is a palette that surprised me. It was such a lovely formula. It's Bel Cosmetics and it's the Pixie Grow palette. This was so fun to use. These shades were so amazing. Like these shimmer shades performed so beautifully on the lids. And yeah, I remember being a bit in shock when I used it because it was actually such a lovely palette. It doesn't look like much. I feel like it's washing out this shade a bit even because this is a bit more blue, but oh my god, it was lovely. A lovely, lovely palette. Then we have one palette from Glaminatrix. This is the Nocturnal palette. And again, we have a mustard, we have a swampy green that I am absolutely 100% going to use. This feels a bit like an extension of the Badi Bean palette because you have this periwinkle shade as well. If you look at them, yeah. There are many shades from this palette that you can find in this one. So I'm just saying, a bit inspired by, because this one was obviously released before this one. I saw recently that this brand is going to rebrand themselves again. This is the Ace Beauté Envy. They did a rebrand a couple of years ago. Am I mistaken? The Envy palette is the green one. I also have the purple one, which I also could pull for this because I have used both of them embarrassingly a few times. But of course I have to pull the one with the mustard murky yellow-green shade. Of course I had to. You will absolutely see me wear a lot of mustard and greens this season. 2 palettes from Clarity Cosmetics. We have the Apocalypse palette, which is something I lusted for such a long time, and then finally it made its way to Monolith. This has some really amazing multichromes. If you see in the mirror there, you see all the shifty shades. Absolutely stunning. A bit different than the other ones because this has not those green tones. Well, this is a green tone, but not exactly the same. And then also the Commodo palette, which is looking like this. So you yet again, the only shame with Clarity Cosmetics is that the shimmer shades are so fragile. I could never travel with this because it would just break. But look at this gorgeous, gorgeous palette. From a random brand, we have the EJ Cosmetics. I think it's EJ. The Oh My Gourd palette, which is obviously a fall-themed palette. This brand has some nice special shades as well. And I did a review of this brand and I was so surprised by the formula and like how things performed, because I haven't heard anyone talk about this brand, so I'm gonna bring it out front again and play with it more. Then I have a palette from MBA Cosmetics, which is a Belgian indie brand, and this one looks like a credit card. This is the Mula palette, and while this brand does not have like a bunch of duochrome multichromes, it has a really nice formula. The mattes are very nice to use. This one is like a standard green to brown duochrome, but in the midst of all of the greens that I'm going to wear, I thought, you know, I should play with this one more as well because I have not used it that much. Now, I don't know if any of you are keeping count. I have 2 palettes left to talk about. This is from Mika Beauty Shop. It's the Serpent palette in collaboration with Martes Makeup. And again, we have an absolutely gorgeous color story with some pops, like a brighter yellow, like yellow-green. We have an orange, and we have some fun duo and multichromes in this palette as well. This is a brand with a super nice formula, but the annoying thing is, which is why I'm not going to make a purchase from them anytime soon, is because all of the releases are pre-order releases, and last time it took over 3 months, basically 4 months, for me to get my palette, and I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not gonna wait that long. Sorry, it's just not anything I'm interested in. Finally, we have a big ass palette. This is the Vigorously by Playing Makeup by Jolando. And I was so impressed by this makeup brand. They have such great items. The concealer I'm currently panning in my Rolling Time Project pan. But this is a huge ass palette with some very fun green, murky green shades. Again, but also some blues that we can match with some of the other palettes that weren't as heavily green based, so to speak. But yeah, this is one palette that I absolutely need to use more. And that is it for this video. Let me know what palettes you're going to play around with this fall. Any of the ones that I mentioned, maybe, or any other. I obviously have a lot of palettes in my collection, and I could have pulled so many more, but I mean, 25 is still pretty heavy. I need to really manifest a will here if I'm going to be able to reach for all of these palettes during the fall season. But yeah. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please say hi in the comments. I always love to hear from you, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!